Hey guys, welcome back to the Match Play Podcast. On this week's episode, we're going to have a special guest, Nate Hyrn, joining us. He's currently a college golfer, and he's going to give us an update on what to expect from this day and age in the college world. So stay tuned. All right, guys, this is Nate Hyrn here. He's going to give us a little introduction on himself. So go ahead, Nate.
Well, first and foremost, guys, appreciate you having me on. I know we connected through social media a couple weeks ago, and kind of made this fantasy a reality of finally getting on the podcast. But like you said, I'm currently a college golfer. I actually just graduated this past fall with a bachelor's in marketing. I plan on going back my master's and using my final year of eligibility and playing golf here in the fall. But I'm from Curwensville, PA. It's a very small town in PA. If you never heard of Curwensville, which a lot of people have not, it's really near State College, Penn State University, about 20-30 minutes. I play college golf at a school in Creston, Pennsylvania, which is about 30 minutes from Penn State, and it's called Mount Aloysius. It's spelled really weird, so and said really weird, so don't worry about it if you've never heard or can't say it. But the Mount's a very special place in my heart. It's been awesome to play college golf the last 4 years there as well. But like you guys said, I'm the founder of Acornhills Clothing Company. We're an eco-friendly clothing company. I started this as a class project my freshman year of college, and it kind of blew up. What we're doing is a little bit different. We utilize what's called seed paper, and what seed paper is just biodegradable waste or biodegradable paper that, when cut off from the tag of the clothing, you can grow actual wildflowers from that. That actually gained us a lot of attention from like the Weather Channel and USA Today and the PGA, country clubs and retailers and everything. So we're going on year 3, I guess year 4 totally if we count the research I did prior. But yeah, 4 years have flown by throughout college and 4 years have flown by throughout the business. So really appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to have you here, and thank you for coming on. Appreciate you reaching out, and both Jeff and I really like the idea that you're trying to make the world a better place through golf and through golf apparel. I mean, what you're doing there with Acorns is top notch. We're happy to have you.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
All right, so let's go back to the beginning. Can you tell us about your journey into golf and how you got started?
Oh yeah, for sure. Being from rural PA, not a lot of people played, golf, let alone high school golf. A lot of people played football. We didn't have a track team. We were so small. So a lot of people played football, or they wrestled, or they played soccer. So that was kind of one of the unicorns in our area where I played golf growing up. And I was always a baseball player, through cut and dry, through and through. And throughout my years of little league and maybe playing 1 or 2 times a year with my dad playing recreational golf, the swing started to collide, and I kind of had to choose which I wanted to prioritize myself in a lot. And naturally, I was a lot better at golf, more independent, kind of more hand-eye coordination than what I was used to in baseball. I pitched a lot in baseball, really never hit. So, pitching in baseball and golf are kind of different, obviously, but they're the same in a lot of ways. So that's kind of how I got started with golf. Took to it pretty naturally, never had a lesson, or all self-taught. Got into high school, did some damage as far as scores and tournaments, and started to think, well, maybe I want to pursue this in college if I want to go to college. There's a lot of people in our area go to trade, welders, plumbers, HVAC. And I think, well, maybe I want to do a trade. I don't know. So I took this kind of freshman year of high school, sophomore year of high school to kind of be the vocation of discernment to really find out if I wanted to go to college or not. And that's kind of how I started. As far as transitioning to college golf, it was a completely different animal than high school golf. I go from playing with people. We only played 9-hole matches for high school, so I go from playing with people that really couldn't break 50 or 40 per 9 holes. Might 1 or 2 kids might be able to break 40 in the whole district, and those kids stood out. Fortunately, I was one of those kids that could break 40 or sometimes even break par when we played the 9-hole matches. So I thought, well, I'm pretty good in our district here. I want to go to college and play. So I ended up going to college and playing, and the college golf aspect is totally weird. I'm sure you guys are familiar with it, but the Division III level where I came out of high school with, it's a mixed bag of players. You have people that are highly skilled and maybe missing one aspect of the game, or vice versa, just kids that wanted to stay close to home. And there's really good players, or maybe just had an injury or something that made them drop from D1 to D3. But yeah, it's such a mixed bag of players, and such a different feeling than when I was in college or high school golf, but also too it's a good type of feeling. Going from that, never having a coach, never really having much of a competition base. Not that I'm saying I'm way better than anyone else in high school, but just because I played a lot longer, I had a lot more experience than a lot of the kids did. And a lot of kids that I played with in high school were a lot of my friends. I think they realized what I was trying to do. They really didn't have much sports experience, but they would just play just so we could have a team and go compete. And I think in the long run, honestly, just let me compete individually. So that's kind of how I got started as far as competition golf. But yeah, so I think that answers your question there.
All right, Nate. So you mentioned, you grew up small rural PA, just being good at golf. Was there anything that you might recommend to other golfers to get noticed by college golf recruiters and coaches that might be from a similar area?
Yeah, I think obviously my major's in marketing, and foreshadowed being in high school kind of my niche being in marketing, because I think a lot of times when you're from a small area like myself, you really don't get a lot of exposure unless you travel outside to play in these tournaments. And for me, those tournaments were in Pittsburgh, on the border of PA and New York. So, 2-3 hours with parents both working full time is a big ask. Obviously, I didn't have a license. I was still in kind of middle of the high school. So you really have to market yourself, because these college coaches, they get thousands of scores, thousands of videos from the D1, D2 level. And, everyone's competing for the same 4 or 5 spots if you're lucky, right? For example, IUP. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of IUP in the University of Pennsylvania. It's a big college here in PA. But when I was in high school, I was really in contact with that coach and really talked to him. He said, "Hey, I'll be honest with you, it's really down to 3 people: you, another kid in the PA state champion." So obviously, score-wise, you really don't stand that good of a chance unless you really perform well. So I think marketing yourself and showing the coach that you're really buying into that culture. For example, when a coach would win a tournament, or the players would win some accolade or award, don't be afraid to email that coach, or reach out to the player on Instagram if within NCAA rules. So, hey, congrats! I just been following your page and wanted to just say congratulations on a job well done, and I was wondering if you had time on your calendar soon that we could connect, maybe something like that. You always want to leave it open-ended for them and make it feel like the ball is in their court, which ultimately it is. But if you just word vomit to them and say, "Hey, coach, here's my scores, I want to come play for you, blah blah blah," you're just going to fall through the cracks of what everyone else does.
It makes sense. You kind of want to already put yourself into their one vision, but also what they're trying to do with their team and as a college and everything like that, just to show that you're a team player and for the long haul. That's basically what I'm hearing here.
Yeah, and you could even, whenever you say that email, you say, "Hey, would you be open to connecting soon?" And I'd love to share some stories of how I did this and this, played second at the tournament, did this. So really, it's almost like this open-ended, but it has kind of the key words within it. And I really started to do that a lot with coaches. And it's funny, I would do this with D1 coaches. Well, sometimes, most of the time, they would say, "Well, I love what you're doing, I love your passion, but I don't know if you're a fit for us. But I might recommend you to another coach I have, if that's okay." And that coach would either be a D2 coach or a D3 coach. And it just kind of trickles down, because everyone knows everybody within the golf college scene. You see these coaches at tournaments, you see these players at tournaments and stuff. So you build this sort of network.
It's information I wish I would have known as I was trying to get recruited by golf coaches. It's super important to build that network, as well as to understand that the difference between D1 and D3 is not as big as you might think. Moving on from that, What would you say is the biggest challenge you faced transitioning from high school to college golf?
Yeah, I think obviously Mount Aloysius in my hometown are very similar in like very rural, very kind of country laid back type of vibe, and that's what I was looking for. I think a big transition was from the golf side of things that I was all self-taught growing up. I never had a lesson. And a lot of kids maybe have swing coaches growing up. And, they can take that lesson and take that information when they go into college from a high level and really kind of work with it. And my coach at the Mount, super awesome, super knowledgeable. Could be a D1 coach, honestly, with all the knowledge he has. But it's funny, taking a lesson from him and being able to actually use that was very, very challenging for me. You think maybe, well, college golfer, he's got to be pretty good skill set. But one of the skill sets I think I lacked was this coachability at first. Was this, how do I? Because I was a big field player. I did what felt right. If I wanted to hit a draw, I just kind of loosened my grip in my hands and it drew. But then you go into college and start talking about wrist angles and different type of lies on shots and things like that. I thought, well, those are things I really never thought about before, and honestly, just something that I kind of dealt or played the cards I was dealt when I was in high school.
So you've obviously spent a lot of time on the golf course from junior career into collegiate career. What's been your most memorable moment of your golf career?
Yeah, from a college perspective, I think the most memorable was last year, probably my junior year. I was battling the shanks after I made the turn on the front nine. I shot 34 on the front nine, was playing super good. And then I got the shanks on the back nine. I think it went like 7, 12, 12, 12 or something like that. Sorry, it was horrible. I ended up shooting 98 for the tournament. My split was 34-64 or something like that. It was brutal. It was so bad. It was so bad that on the very last like hole, obviously everyone's surrounding and stuff, and all my teammates were laughing because they knew what was going on. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen the tie spinner. Shot people try to hit. I yelled up to the club. I was like, I'm trying it. I'm gonna hit it. And actually, it was probably like one of the better shots I hit all day. So it was like one of those days. If I tried any other day, cannot pull it off. But on pace to shoot 98 in a college tournament, that's something. But like I said, I don't know if I told you guys or we talked about before, but that same year I held the high and low on the team. So within weeks of each other, I shot 98, and then even or under the next couple weeks. So.
That's cool. And I mean, coming from a guy with your background, playing forever, collegiate golf, starting with a 34, and then, obviously, we're not going to use the nasty S word there, but yeah. It's definitely relatable for the weekend warriors out there that are just trying to get better and, understand that, golf's a fickle game,
It's weird. I had 21 of them that day. So.
Exactly that.
We started counting, so that was bad.
Yeah, so you just want to stay in the moment and stay in it the best you can, even when things are getting off the rails.
It's weird because I never had them all throughout my life, like ever until then. So it's like culture shock, and then trying to get rid of them was great too. So now I go from it's weird after that moment. I used to hit a little cut, and now past year and a half, 2 years, now I'm hitting kind of a draw. So I think we fixed it, but we've changed my ball flight, changed my thing now. So it's like now getting adjusted to that. I used to play a lot of shots where I would kind of, let the ball die over. But now I'm getting, extra rollout, extra spin with the draw. So it's great. It's great when it works, but just getting adjusted to it.
It always takes a while to make those swings changes, especially when you're doing it to avoid the S word.
Yep.
Pretty big deal.
All right, Nate, so you just mentioned maybe one of the worst memories you've had in your college career, but on the other side, could you tell us what one of your best memories in school is, maybe best round per se?
Yeah, I think score-wise, in the same year, like I was just saying with the 98 split there, the same year, I saw a course for the first time, went out and shot 73 in pretty tough conditions, which is like even or one over, I forget. And it was like raining and everything. And then the following day, I got put in the first group. Obviously, people I've never met before from all over the country. There's a pretty big regional tournament. So there's kids from PA, Ohio, Michigan, Maryland. It's kind of like a 4 or 5 state tournament. And I was put in one of the final groups. And I ended up shooting 76, which in the grand scheme of things is not enough to win a tournament. But for me to kind of prove to myself, in high school, if you would have told me I went 73, 76 in a college tournament and placed a pretty respectable placement, I would be pretty happy with that. So that was one of my score-wise great memories. But obviously, the greatest memory about college golf is by far the teammates, the people. It sounds so like a broken record, but honestly, when you come into high school, you have to learn to make friends again. Being from a small town, PA, kind of like everyone knew everyone since we've been in the womb. So I think going to college and learning to make friends and having this built-in team with college golf, and just realizing that. Yes, it's individual, but in the grand scheme of things, you guys are the same team. Obviously in qualifying, tensions are high, but at the end of the day, you want everyone to succeed.
Really well put there. Even though golf's an individual game, college golf is a team game, and being able to support one another while everybody grind and try to take home a gold for your college there, it really becomes more of a bonding event rather than just couple of individual guys go out there and try to shoot as low as they can. It's definitely more of a team sport at that level.
So speaking of the team dynamic, how did the team dynamic change while you were in school, and how do you think the changes in the team dynamic affected your performance while you were there?
Yeah, I think no team year of the team. Freshman year is different than sophomore year. Sophomore year is different than junior year, and so on and so forth. But within my first 2 years, freshman and sophomore, we had a somewhat of a smaller team, maybe I think 8 or 12 guys, which seems normal for golf teams. But then all of a sudden, junior and senior year, my coach did really well with recruiting, and we're able to, budget-wise, able to bring a lot of kids in. I think we had close to 22 or 24 kids, and then this year we had, I think, 22. So obviously you go from kind of a small team to having 15, 20 guys who can break 75 in any moment, right? So obviously tension can be high during rounds, just like any other round. We play qualifying, so a lot of times we'll do 36 or 54 holes of qualifying a couple of days before a tournament. You might have the best scoring average for a week, but going into qualifying, you could have a bad round, and then it's important to not have that drama carry off the 18th green into campus. Our course is maybe a minute or two away from campus, so things tend to boil over sometimes pretty quick. But as far as the dynamic of the team, I think, like I just said, in the grand scheme of things, everyone wants the best for the team, because at the end of the day, we're competing for that championship. And obviously we might rag on each other now and then, but at the end of the day, we have each other's backs. And you go to these tournaments and you just kind of realize that, yes, it's awesome to mingle with other kids and other kids you might have played with in high school. At least for me, I played a lot of the kids in high school I play with against now in college. But you still have that team to fall back on. You still have them to kind of bounce ideas off of and work on swing thoughts and everything. That's what's kind of neat too, is being at the college level, you have all these highly skilled players that obviously in their own way, they're almost like micro coaches. Something that might work for them might work for you. So that was really nice as well.
We'll just continue on that same vein. Nate, how does playing Division III golf differ from higher divisions in your view?
Yeah, I can only speak from really Division III golf, obviously because that's where I played. But just from my experience talking to D1 players and D2 players, I think there's more of an emphasis on academics in D3 and outside, activities, extracurriculars. Not the same that D2 and D1 put academics and extracurriculars to the wayside. It's just you're more kind of on your own a lot. In D3, it's kind of the self-starter. I like to call it the self-starter division, because you got to want to get better. You got to want to practice. You got to want to have time management, and you have to want to, try to find extra opportunities to get involved. Right? The D2, D1, they offer athletic scholarships. Obviously, Division III does not. But there are ways to get around it academically. It might have financial aid. You might have a merit-based scholarship based off academics, or like our college offers scholarships, like if you hold different positions on campus, if you work somewhere on campus. But I think that's kind of the big difference. I think there's a lot of stereotyping that D3 is drastically different from D1. I would say the lines are razor thin when it comes to something like the experience. I think a D3 experience is very similar to a D1 experience. It's just kind of, you get what you put into it. If you're going there for solely golf reasons, that's really what you're going to get out of it. I know golf for me, coming out of high school, was not something I was going to pursue as a career path. Was not going to go pro, was not going to try to go pro or teach pro or anything. So I was really, really content with that Division III level of, making a lot of memories with friends academically, getting involved in clubs and sports or, activities and groups that maybe weren't available to me in high school, but then also to getting to play golf is like a bonus for me.
Nate, obviously you had a really good grasp on what you wanted to get out of your college golf career, but what advice would you give young golfers looking to play at the collegiate level?
I think first and foremost, to play at the collegiate level, I think you gotta be real with yourself. 99% of us aren't going to be the next Tiger Woods unless you're the top 200 maybe in the world. And there's a lot to be said. Not to say there isn't a Cinderella story out there from D3 to the PGA Tour, but you got to be real with yourself. But you also have got to have fun, right? You have 4 more years to play a game that a lot of people don't get to play that much of, or don't get to pick it up until later. I played with guys all through high school that were senior citizens, right? Because in the mornings I would have off because of summer vacation. Some of them didn't pick up their clubs until they retired from their jobs. And sit there as a 15, 16-year-old thinking, well, I'm super fortunate to be able to play this game that 3-year-olds play and 80-year-olds play. And I think that really was a driving factor when I went to college, was really enjoy the process, really enjoy practicing, really enjoy qualifying and your teammates and stuff, because in 4 years it's over, right? If you view it as a job and say, oh, I gotta shoot this number to qualify, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I got to go practice 2 hours of wedges and stuff. Yeah, do that if you want to, but enjoy it. Don't force yourself to do it. You have to enjoy the grind, enjoy the passion. That's why they call it a passion, right? It's a grind of love. So.
I love how you stated that, and I know I've experienced that in my own golf career. When you take golf too seriously, sometimes it does become a job. The most important thing you need to remember is you fell in love with the game of golf for a particular reason. So go back to that reason, because it's what's going to help you enjoy the game and break through to the next level. Because golf is hard. There's no reason to make it a job.
For sure.
Enjoy it and have some fun. We had Brian Kelly on in our previous interview, and if you didn't tune into that, please do. But we talked about the introduction of NIL program and how that can affect golf and your ability to basically market yourself in golf. So Nate, as someone that has experienced it firsthand, how would you say that the introduction of the NIL program affected you personally?
Yeah, as NIL was introduced when I was a freshman in college, and really at the D3 level, no one really talks about it too much. But I kind of saw this opportunity when in high school that you see a lot of people now, it's what's called content creation or influencers. They weren't as prominent as they were today as they were back then. But I think for me was this idea of, okay, well, maybe I can contact these small mom and pop shops or retailers or smaller clothing companies that aren't Nike or aren't FootJoy or aren't Adidas, and because they're going after top 200 in the world amateurs. They're not going after a D3 golfer. And these small mom and pops, they can't reach that D3 golfer, or they can't reach that D1 golfer. They might be able to reach the D3 golfer if presented the right way. And that's kind of what I stuck to my guns on. That was obviously my NILs were non-compensational, meaning I had no money attached to it, but rather I had gear attachments, shipments, kind of every month, every couple months, and then we would do something on social media where I posted them, gave them a shout out, or some did like a review of kind of what you see now with content creation and influencers. But from a D3 perspective, I think, at least in our area, I kind of opened a lot of people's eyes and saying like, hey, these people are prominent figures, or at least well thought of when it comes to athletics in our area. Maybe we can use them for marketing. So again, it goes back to like I said earlier about marketing yourself. Is if you present as an area of opportunity to maybe a small business or an organization, I think they're willing to listen.
Since you've explored some NIL opportunities involving, equipment side of things, Nate, are you open to sharing the companies that you work with?
Yeah, I don't know if they're still doing NILs, but the one company was out of PA. They were called Golf. It was kind of like a country vibe type of apparel. They're kind of a brainchild of Gilson Snow. They're like a big snowboarding company out of our area. But a couple of people from Gilson Snow created Moonshine Golf, and that's kind of how I got in contact with them, kind of knowing Gilson Snow a little bit. The other one was, you might have heard of, is Yada Golf. Yada is a kind of a bigger brand now as far as TJ Maxx and wholesalers go. That's kind of their bread and butter. They mostly sell on Amazon now. These vibrant polos, a lot of flair, a lot of style. But one of the things I worked with them was the gear shipments. That might be when they had maybe 400, 500 followers. And they would send me monthly gear shipments. And then all of a sudden, I think they liked it enough that they created their own like ambassador program, where actually people could apply to it. So I think maybe I was one of the first pioneers with them. But obviously, since I started my own clothing company now, obviously both brands have been very supportive and transparent, but just I don't work with them anymore just because I have my own.
Yeah, it becomes a conflict of interest to that point. But it's really cool that these smaller companies are, with a little bit of legwork, are willing to give, sponsorships to guys that are just out here grinding, doing the best they can in that D3, D2. They might not have, like you said, the Nikes, the Adidas after them. If you're willing to do the groundwork, it's there for you. And there are people that are willing to work for you, which is really, really cool, because golf can be an expensive game, especially if you're a college student just trying to get by. Golf balls, clubs, gloves, tees, anything can, a small deal like that can go a long way to improving the college life experience, so to say.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it was always a great conversation piece, especially at the D3 level. Is you'd meet these guys and say, well, how did you get that stuff? And I would tell them, share the story, and they say, oh, well, I never even thought about doing that. I bet I could probably do something with that with people in my area or state.
Yeah, so Nate, from what the NIL program sounds like, it really helps the athletes almost level the playing field across the divisions, because you can promote and learn to promote yourself, promote your brand, and make that an effective networking tool and an effective lesson that didn't exist before in the college athletics level. So that's super cool.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's the best way you put it there, is making your own brand, right? Nate's brand's going to be different than your brand or Bill's brand. But that's what makes everyone unique. If everyone's the same person as Nate walking around, it would be a pretty boring world for sure. So I think that's kind of what you got to stick to your guns, find people that resonate with you. It just doesn't mean you got to go down to the grocery store and say, hey, will you sponsor me for golf? Actually put some thought into it. People appreciate that.
So we talked about NIL, about getting yourself geared out and the things you can do with NIL while in college. We're going to move to aspirations about golf professionally and what you can do after school. Nate, did you have any aspirations to pursue golf professionally after college?
Oh, no way, absolutely not. I love the game of golf. Don't get me wrong, but I want to keep it that, right? I want to keep it a game. For me being competition, and maybe I'm just kind of a different animal when it comes to that, but I'm not one to really devote my whole career to like a sport, because at any moment that I can change. And one, I don't think I have the right skill sets, right? I'm not shooting the right scores, and that requires a lot of legwork on my end. And not that I wouldn't be willing to put that legwork in, but just I could put in all that legwork and really not have the result. And I've focused a lot more on my career as far as being in the marketing world with Acornhills. I think that's a lot. It's pretty cool to stay within the industry, but also having this outside view approach. If I can make an experience better for a junior or amateur golfer, or sometimes a pro shop, I think that's more of me living a future with golf than it is for me pursuing a career within golf.
Yeah, it makes sense, especially if you're not, already shooting those 66s, 65s in your college tournaments. it becomes hard to make it on the PGA Tour or even the minis at that point. Granted, we all have aspirations of playing professional golf, but it's kind of cool that you were able to take your passion and turn it into a way to be in golf for the rest of your life. It's really cool to see just that transition alone.
Yeah, I think, growing up, I think every little kid has a dream of being like a rock star or being an actress or something. And
Sure.
you got to, when you're in college stuff, you still have to hold on to that dream a little bit, but also to be real with yourself and say, why did I choose to play college golf? And you got to go back to why you love it. Basically fall in love with the game all over again, but never lose sight of that too.
It's awesome that you were able to pivot so quickly. Obviously, you did this while you were in school, keeping your sights open and still keeping golf in your life through a career that may not have been professional, but still keeping that love of the game inspired and sparked within your business that you chose. And so, how do you see your experiences in college golf and in golf in general shaping your future, and whether it's in sports or another field?
Yeah, I think from a professional aspect, with the apparel company aside, it's just this great way of talking to people. It's a massive network, right? The golf community is amazing, and like I said previously, I played with guys three times my age in high school, and you really got to understand communication. Those guys didn't really have smartphones, or if they did, they didn't know how to use them. And a lot of times I would be the IT guy also, as long as the playing partner as well. And but at the time it seemed like a hassle. But when you look at it, hindsight's always 20/20. When you look at it now, you think, well, that really helped shape a lot of communication skills, a lot of time management skills too. Rounds take a lot of time to play, 4 hours. If you're practicing afterwards, college, 5-6 hours. And that's a large chunk of your day when you have classes and 19 credits or extracurriculars. And I think time management's a big skill I think I learned through golf. It's crazy. When I first launched the company, I would be working. I would have school from like 8 to 4, then golf from like 5 to dusk, until it got dark out. And then after that, I would work on the company until like 2-3 a.m. Every single night, and then you'd have class at 8 a.m. So I would be putting in these massive hours, really long days, and it seemed easy. It seemed like I could say no a lot, or it seemed like I could put a lot on my plate. But then when you look at it now, and I take a lot of that, the blinders off a little bit, and I don't have golf right now that I'm graduated. I don't have half the things that I was involved in. I think, well, geez, I still have a lot of busy time. How did I even do that when I was in college? I think that's a crazy cycle that I was on, but it was just kind of, you get in that moment, you get locked in, and I think that's something that I can really use in my professional career, whether it's with Acorn, whether it's with marketing, whether it's with raising a family, or maybe even teaching or coaching someday myself, is really stress that to people that time management's key. If you can manage your time, or you can say yes to everything.
Nate, I think you put that into words perfectly. Golf is a remarkable sport. It really is a game of life. It teaches so many life lessons, time management being one of them, because you have to balance how you practice different aspects of the game and how you take that to the course, as well as obviously how you're going about life in general around the sport. So love that. Moving forward, what legacy do you hope to leave behind at your school and in your community?
Yeah, I think, coming from high school, obviously a very small town, I try to be involved in a lot of things, whether it was National Honor Society or like we had Envirothon, which is like a ecology type club, and that's where I really came to really like the environment and have a passion for it. And I'd always try to leave things better better when I left than when I found it. And college, same thing goes for college. When I first came in, I was kind of unmotivated. I went to class, went to golf, went back to the dorm and fell asleep. So my grades were fine. It wasn't like I was suffering, but it just, it kind of felt like repetition. I thought, well, how do I do something like that? That feeling I had in high school of actually having like self-fulfillment and purpose outside of sport, outside of academics, and leave the place better than what I found it. And I actually started a business club. It was dead for about 10-15 years at school. No one ever took it over. So I launched that actually before any like the brand Acornhills or anything. I launched that as a freshman. And that really was pretty big because that was an opportunity for other kids on campus to get involved. I think our first year we had like 80 or 90 kids in the club, which is massive if you know it's the size of the school. That's almost like 90% of all the business majors at the school. So that was something that I really got involved in and really threw myself into and really had that legacy. And, as I graduated here in the fall, it's still going strong. Of course, I'm not president anymore, not founder. I gave that step down, but there's been so many moments serving on boards. I probably served on 4 or 5 different boards throughout my 4 years. I've been a part of probably like 10 clubs. It's just everything you could imagine. I wanted to get the most out of that college experience.
Makes sense. You have a very limited time in your life to be there and have that college experience. It's nice to hear that you really took to it and made the most of that time. Now, on the backside of that, if you could change one thing about collegiate golf or athletics, what would it be and why?
I think D3 level, obviously, just the stereotype that there's no athletic scholarships given, and just kind of that deters a lot of people from going D3 and realizing it might be a good route for them. It's just financially not a good route for them, as opposed to going D2 and D1. But I think something the downside for me is just, this idea of qualifying. It's an unnecessary evil, or it's a necessary evil, I'm sorry. In college golf is, like I said before, we have 22 guys that can all play really, really good golf. And when they leave college and go back home and play recreational rounds, they're the 1 and 2 guys at their course that are always in the running for club championships. You know what I mean? So it's dealing with those tensions, but realizing at the same time they are your teammates, or your friends, or it's like a brotherhood. I'm not getting too caught up in that. So that would be the one downside is qualifying, but it's a necessary evil. You have to do it.
Great. And for that, we're gonna take the time to thank our guest here, Nate from Acornhills. Check out his clothing. We'll put a link down below in the description here. Please like, subscribe, and share, guys. Till next week. We'll see you.